What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Another day, another dollar with your boy. We're going to be breaking down our futures contract per usual. Today was a very interesting day, to say the least. Not a lot really occurred from the sell side. Buyers continue to be relentless on pullbacks. Just buy the fucking dip, essentially, is what's happening. But both directions, sellers and buyers, both have kind of failed uniquely in their own ways. But overall, we are still in a balance. We remain in a balance. We had I'm going to say today was a bit of a failed attempt out of an inside day down. I was discussing in yesterday's video how we had a potential for an inside day up or an inside day down. So failing to do pretty much an inside day down, which would have would have been a little bit more of a liquidation towards the lows, is what we were looking for. We really didn't do that. However, we kind of I wouldn't say necessarily stayed out of the previous day's range, but we stayed just below the previous day's low. Created a wide point of control right around that same area. So very interesting to see how we stayed near yesterday's low. Couldn't really find much extension below it or acceptance of extension, right? We had price advertised lower, but every time it pulled back and we attempted to really get some legs going to the downside, it never really did anything. What you experienced today was what we discussed in yesterday's video. Balance rules. All right. We have balance rules. Whenever a market is in a period of consolidation, whenever a market is in an area of balance, as we like to say, the market, there's three rules. You get near a balance high, you roll over, or a balance low and you bounce off of it. You get near a balance high or low, you push to it, and you get a little bit above it or below it, whichever it is. In this case, we experienced the first one. And then the third rule is getting to, through, and away from that balance, right? Just always keep those rules in the back of your mind. Today, and the last several days, we've been experiencing balance rule number one, which is we've been getting near a balance high. We've been getting right up to that balance high. And so far, we have three high of days, daily highs, right in the same vicinity, right? They're within a couple of points of each other. Before the all-time high, back adjusted, of course, but before the all-time high and our balance high. So balance rules are very powerful, very strong thing. And that resulted in us kind of rolling over today, attempting at an inside day down, but not getting much on the sell side as buyers, like I said, still remain relentless. We end up with another wide point of control today, an afternoon rally high, and pretty much just the high and the low of the day. I took one trade today, one trade only, and that was early in the morning. When I got up to go to work this morning, I took a trade, and that was basically in this range up here. We were chopping around in this range right around the 50 level. I said, okay, if we're going to be, we had a wide point of control on the downside, and then we had a bit of a wide point of control in the overnight session as well. If you're looking at my 10-minute chart here, you can see this period of consolidation, this period of volume right around this area, around 38. And then we had yesterday's point of control on the downside, which was, 35. So, in that range is my target on the downside, right? And I was shorting against the all-time high and the balance high, knowing, right? I'll pull up my support and resistance area. It's not going to be quite exact, but you get the idea. Knowing that we were near a balance high, knowing that we needed to get above and push above the previous day's high and hold above it. And I just really wasn't seeing that early on in the morning. So I knew what my risk was. I knew what my reward was. I knew that what my target was on the downside, and then I knew what my out was on the upside. So I got short 50, 50, 50, 52, 20, 52, 50, 25, I think is exactly what it was. I got in 5 contracts. It was a very small position. I wish it wasn't. I wish it was a much larger position because that clearly worked out a little bit better in my favor. But I was in 5 contracts short, was looking for the rotation back down to 38, 39 level, which was right around this area of volume here. And then where we had the Y point of control on the downside. I just didn't think we were going to get away from that very easily prior to the actual open of the morning. And boy, oh boy, was I correct, right? We came in prior to the opening, and then at the open, we kind of just liquidated down. And that just ended up being a beautiful trade. Was happy that I was able to see and test my theory of a balance high. And yes, had I gotten stopped out, obviously I would have been a little upset, but things would have changed, right? When I got back, if the market was moving well and we were coming out of an inside day to the upside and we were one time framing up, trying to break out of balance, I would have flipped to the long side and probably made my money back. But my theory was right. I was short 50, just slightly above these high days here. And we rolled over, came back into that area to that 10Y point of control, ended up opening right around 42.40, and we just kind of drove lower. It was a pretty nasty little liquidation in A period. And we pretty much stayed in the initial balance for the majority of the day until we finally decided to push down right around that noon time frame. Same thing yesterday, right? We had a little bit of a push up in the noon time frame, right? It was pretty much the same blueprint, just in the opposite direction as the previous day. But yeah, I was very happy to take that trade. Clearly would have worked out a little bit better, right? We pushed down to a low of 96 here, down to a low of 91, and then down to a low of 88. Could have made obviously a lot more money if I held it, but I had my target, had my reason, and I was happy with taking profits. That was the only trade that I took today. Other than that, there were a few opportunities to take trades. If we just look here, right? We're just looking at the chart, right? Everything was in sellers' favors. Everything was in the seller's favor. We had value lower. We were one time framing down in B period. We had the overnight low right out the gate, right? And there really wasn't much on the downside, right? There was a bit of a vacuum down to 51.80. So you knew where your next destination was. So after B period, you could have taken a short in C against B's high. Initially, it would have worked the first time. If you didn't want to take then and you wanted to wait a little bit longer, you could have taken a short against in D period against C's high. You basically a short against anywhere against 42.20. You would have been making money on the short side essentially. Pretty much anytime you got above the previous day's low was a short. Anytime you got above the previous day's low, you bobbed your head above the water, right? The market's trying to go down. You're trying to get sunk under. You bob your head above the water. You get a little bit of air, and then you go right back down, right? That's what we were doing today. Today, we were pretty much just bobbing for air. That's exactly what was happening here. We were bobbing for air, and each time we pushed up, guess what? We got sucked right back down, and even had a pretty good push down here later in the time frames. And then look at M period. M, after setting a new low, ripped higher, kind of like it did the previous day here, right? We set a new low, and then we just ripped back up, back to that point of control. So just going to show you that buyers are still just kind of in control. Also, I'm drinking my Heineken Zero. So give me 1 second if you don't mind. Zero alcohol, baby. Zero alcohol. All right. But there were opportunities to take trades. And yes, there were also opportunities to fade the extreme. But it was less likely that you wanted to do that just because the market generated information in the seller's favor. You were attempting out of inside day down, and you really didn't have much to lean against on the downside, in my opinion. Where was your out? If you did get long 99, where was your out? If you did get long 96, where was your out? If you did get long 91, where was your out? Right? Your out most certainly wasn't 51.80, right? That would have been a terrible risk reward if you're risking from 96 just to come back up to 17. I mean, that's pretty bad risk reward in my opinion. So looking for shorts on pushes up back above the previous day's low was definitely the play. Excellent opportunities there. And, had I been looking for those trades, I definitely would have taken them. But after I'd made my money, I just stepped away from the market, did not even attempt. So let's go ahead and mark these destinations real quick. We'll briefly look at the daily chart. on SPY, and then we'll look at ES. But SPY goes ex dividend tonight, and then we have quadruple witching tomorrow. We got quad witching tomorrow, so quad expiration date going on tomorrow. So we're going to be some wacky price action. So most likely will not be trading tomorrow, as it typically tends to be a choppy sessions. From my experience, we tend to have more choppy sessions whenever we have quad witching days. Not all of them are volatile, but some can be. We go out, what was it, 11 wide? Yep, we go out 11 wide right here at 1575 is going to be our 11 wide point of control. We've been having the last several days some pretty wide points of control within this balance area. It just goes to show you that there really isn't much conviction, right? Whenever you have several time frames just kind of chopping in an area, not much conviction being shown there. So until we come out of this balance, just continue to wear your hard hats, right? I've reduced size this morning. We'll probably continue to reduce size or keep my size, 1 to 5 contracts until we come out of this balance area at some point in the future, one can hope. We have an afternoon rally high. We almost got it late in the evening, but it held right here at 22. 52.22 is going to be our afternoon rally high. Afternoon rally high. Not textbook, but nonetheless, it will be an area of interest moving forward. Will be an area of interest. And then we have today's high of day right here at 41.50. $41.50 high day. Am I the only one interesting, or it's interesting to see? Why do I keep typing 5? Interesting to see like the amount of time we've been spending in this area, right? Where we liquidated. Spent a lot of time there between Tuesday and Wednesday, and then today no time, rejected out of that area, coming back. So essentially, if you were treating this as like a double distribution day, right? The way I would look at it is this being the upper distribution up here, right? That being the upper distribution above 40. We've been getting rejected out of that upper distribution. Not only is that near the all-time high, balance high, but that's how I would also look at it, is it being the upper distribution, not necessarily textbook. Yes, I know it wasn't necessarily a textbook single print, but I'm just kind of experimenting with these thoughts of, whenever we do have movement like that up and then back down through the same price, and there's not much time being spent there, I will consider that as some type of, interest, in my opinion. So there you guys have it. Tomorrow, if we open above 52.1575, look to get above the afternoon rally high. It probably won't be much to lean against, but it will be an area of interest anyway. So if we open above 52.1575, we should rotate up and get all three of these highs right here between 41.50, 46, and 46.75. No problemo. I think that we most likely wouldn't have much of an issue. The only thing that I do think will be an issue if we do attempt at a push up is going to be this wide point of control that we had from the previous day. I'm actually going to mark this. I'm just going to mark this area because I do think this will be interesting. Today we moved through it like it wasn't even there. So it'll be interesting to see how we react to it moving forward. So I'm just going to kind of mark it yellow. We're going to leave it unnamed, but just to kind of keep my eye on that level whenever we do move up, because we spent no time when we pushed through it. We acted like it wasn't even there, especially for a wide point of control. Usually you have, it acts as like some type of stickiness or like some mud to get through. But however, if we open below 52.1575 and we can't get above 52.22 afternoon rally high, you will rotate down here to 51.88, 51.80. low day, afternoon pullback low 51.74, and then our balance low 51.57 down here. So the market continues to chop, baby. Market continues to chop. Let's go ahead and look at our larger time frames here in SPY, and then we'll look at ES. But we need to look at SPY first because it is the most consistent right now out of the two when it comes to what the price is doing. So here you have it. You're looking at choppiness. You're looking at a balance here. 20-day moving average sitting at around 50 or 508.28. Our balance low is 508.50. So 20-day moving average coming right up to our balance low. Find that kind of interesting, right? We do have a gap down here, as we do in ES. We do have this gap down here. 50-day moving average continues to creep up towards that. So it'll be interesting to see if we fell up here, roll over, get below the 20-day moving average. Do we get into this gap? And do we test the 50-day moving average? All right. Daily is in a balance. Weekly is still one time framing up for SPY. This week, if tomorrow we close inside of the previous week's range, guess what? It will be an inside week scenario moving forward. Okay, inside week scenario moving forward for SPY. If we stay within last week's range, we need to take out our balance high and the all-time high here in SPY 50 or 518.22. Now, as far as ES goes, as far as the continuous contract goes, the weekly one time framing up. The daily is now in a balance. Okay, so see how these things kind of come back to reality in some sense. Let me, if I can get my chart back up here. But you know how the disconnect the previous 2 days were one time framing up in ES due to the premium. Well, now we're back to balance in ES. So we're going to move our balance high up here, and we're going to move our balance low here. Okay, 57 will be our balance low. But you see how the previous couple days in SPY we've been in balance, and then now we are finally back in balance on ES. So it all eventually comes to fruition and reconnects with each other. So it's probably good that we get this bit of consolidation here. So there's our balance. We are in a nice 4-day balance for ES. 20-day moving average 51.11.39. 50-day moving average moving on up to 49.80. That gap gets filled on the downside at 49.59.25. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I really appreciate you guys stopping by. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like down below. If you guys want to learn more, go check out Paul Asmar. That is ASMAR. Go check out camelbacktrading.org, baby. And if you do go check out camelbacktrading.org, you might end up with a nice little badge like this. So we'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.